Hey Archery Talk, this is Lucas, and tonight I've got my setup and unboxing of my latest bow in for the 2025 Archery Talk Hunting Bow Shootout. And this is going to be the Bowtech Proven 34. Let's get in the box and see what there is to see. Oh. All right, let me just take all the stuff off here. So the Proven 34 is a bow I have shot a little bit when I was at the ATA show in January this year. Just a few shots, obviously, not set up to my draw length, not set up to my draw weight that I would like. So it's an inopportune testing location. This is an opportune testing location. I'm going to give this everything I've got. Tonight is just going to be a setup. I'll try to do a little speed test for you and give some quick early impressions, but I will follow up with a long-term review in the coming weeks. Specs-wise, the Proven 34, as the name might suggest, is a 34-inch axle-to-axle bow. So a nice long platform. It's got a pretty generous 6 5/8 inch brace height. It's got an IBO rated speed of 336 feet per second. Now there is a long draw version of this bow. This one here that I've got, it's got the medium cam on it. It goes from 25 to 30 inches in draw length, so I'm going to max this one right out. There's also a long draw cam that goes from 27.5 to 33 inches. So just this will fit anybody that wants to shoot this bow. That longer one has a slightly longer brace height of 7 inches. It's got a slightly slower speed, at least based on the same draw length, of 331 feet per second. And both these bows weigh in at about 4.7 pounds with nothing on them. Now, Bowtech has sent me a bunch of accessories for this bow in addition to the bow itself. So I'm going to set all of that up tonight. Time for me to get to work. All right, I have spent the last couple of hours getting this bow set up, shooting it, getting a basic tune done, and here is the final result of the Bowtech Proven 34. As I mentioned earlier, Bowtech did send over some accessories for me to use on this bow. So we've got their Bowtech kind of center mass stabilizer, we've got a ripcord arrow rest, and we've got a kind of their new kind of center mass dual track Bowtech sight. I would think this is kind of made in conjunction with black gold, but there's no black gold labeling on here at all. It just says Bowtech, so we'll say it's Bowtech. One weird caveat: the only trouble I have with this bow, and is a place I've never had trouble before, is with the sight and screwing it in. One of the screws I just could not get a good purchase with my Allen wrench to tighten it over there. The other one worked just fine. The outside one, or inside one rather, took just I don't know, it just was kind of barely fitting in there. I have never seen that before. I can't imagine that's Bowtech's fault. They're not machining their own screws, I don't imagine. But regardless, it's a very weird little thing that I've never seen before. Very odd. Setup beyond that one little tiny hiccup was super easy. I kind of eyeballed my sight, and like my first shot with the sight was within an inch of the target at 20 yards, which is super unusual for me. I'm not usually good at eyeballing it like that. So that was handy. This arrow rest is new to me, the ripcord ratchet. I've not used that before at all. This one was pretty easy to set up. It's got the little football down here. It's kind of a similar, there's lots of cable-driven rest that'll have that set up. It's micro adjust, which I really like. And the micro adjust is also easy to access and get to. Sometimes you get micro adjusts that you're trying to find a way to loosen them, to get at them. This worked very well and it was very easy to set up, and I was happy to have it. It's also a dovetail. It takes advantage of the dovetail mount on there. You could still mount one over the sides if you'd like. As far as tuning goes, the only small issue I had initially was kind of with the timing. And my top cam was hitting just a hair before the bottom cam, so I just used advantage of the time lock setup on Bowtech's bows, which came out a couple of years ago, which works super easy. It's basically the equivalent of adding twists to cables, and so here you can just do that without using a bow press. The only time this bow was in a bow press was to get the peep installed. Beyond that, everything was done just with the Bowtech's tuning technology. So the time lock kind of got that timing in where I wanted it to be. There's little timing marks on there you can use as a guide. The deadlock cam system, as far as getting your arrow flight exactly how you want to, that's all done here, also without a bow press. And even the grip lock, which is not really a tuning technology, but more of a comfort thing. It allows you to move the grip in and out to get the grip angle that you like. I'm still experimenting with that right now. I've got this maybe a little farther out than I will in the long term. But overall, tuning this bow was super simple, and very happy with how that went. Again, most Bowtechs I've had no trouble tuning those bows in the past, and this is no different. They make it as easy as anybody in the industry to get your bow tuned and ready to shoot without having to fuss too much with a bow press. So I suppose you want to know how the bow shoots. Just a little while ago, I recorded a video of me shooting the bow and walking you through that exact process. All right, as I mentioned, it is time to talk draw cycle. Now this bow, as currently set up, is with the performance mode. When I first took it out of the box, it was in comfort mode, and that is a vastly different experience, but I'm going to walk you through the performance mode right now. Just know that comfort mode was a bow that feels much easier to draw and much smoother and all those things you would expect from Bowtech comfort kind of mode with the flip disc cams. It's a great setup, and that's the one, quite frankly, that I'm going to be shooting more often than not. I'm really just in performance mode for the speed tests for here and when I do the full review and the shootouts later on. But day to day, this will be comfort mode for me. Or if I'm going to stay in performance mode, I'll go back down to 65 pounds. But there we are. We're in 70 pounds, 30 inches of draw length. It's actually pretty much right bang on 30 inch, maybe 30 and an eighth, so it's very close. This cam only goes to 30 inches, so we're at the very end of it. So it is a bit more aggressive feeling than this will be in a slightly shorter draw length. But this bow does feel a bit more aggressive to me than I was expecting after I shot it at the ATA show and when I first took it out of the box, just because of the performance mode in here. And the setting is it's a difference maker. Now it's only here where it starts to get tricky. So there's a pretty noticeable hump, not terrible. I'm gonna let it down here for a second. So it's, it's an aggressive letdown as you'd expect from that draw, but it's not, I don't want to say it doesn't feel like a speed bow. It's not like the Core SR was last year in performance mode or anything like that. But it definitely does not feel slow. Like this bow, as we mentioned, it's got an IBO of 336. I do not think this bow is going to come 15 feet per second short of that. I think it's going to be, relatively close. Certainly within 10 would be my best guess. But it's just a bit of a hump there. You can kind of smooth it out by pulling smoothly. But let's shoot one rather. It holds on target quite nicely, I have to say. I don't think it's the quietest Bowtech I've shot, but again, it might just be because I'm in performance mode and I'm at the very end of this cam in its most aggressive setting. But it's not like there's no vibration in the hand or anything like that. Just the overall might be just a hair more noise than we're used to of a Bowtech, at least in the last couple of years. But yeah, it really does hold nice. I'm looking forward to seeing the speed numbers on this, but overall the draw cycle is what you'd expect from something in a performance setting. And I do think this is going to be at least reasonably close to the advertised speed numbers. Let's go find that out right now. So as I mentioned, it is time to talk speed. And this bow, again, is set up with 30 and maybe an eighth inches of draw length, 70 pounds on the button of draw weight. And I tested this bow with two different arrows, a 350 grain arrow and a 455 grain arrow. Now I mentioned in my draw cycle video that I was feeling that this bow was kind of gum relatively close to hitting its IBO mark, and I was correct. With that 350 grain arrow, I saw speeds of 334 feet per second and 333 feet per second. So let's say 334, I always like to aim on the high side. That is within 2 feet per second of the advertised speed. If you've been watching these videos for long enough, you'll know how rare it is for a manufacturer to be basically bang on their number. Bowtech did that as far as I'm concerned. 2 feet per second could be the difference between my chronograph and someone else's chronograph, but basically the bow feels like it's a fast bow, and it is a fast bow. So there's no getting around that. If you want this draw cycle to be nicer, as I mentioned, flip that over into the comfort mode or take 5 pounds off of there. That's what I'm going to be doing. I'm a skinny guy. I don't love shooting so 70 pounds a lot of the time in a more aggressive setup. So Bowtech really makes your life easy to make you, to let you get the bow to feel how you want. I also mentioned I shot this with a 455 grain arrow, and that was still clocking in at 295 feet per second every time I shot it. That is nutty fast for an arrow that heavy. Typically, I actually prefer fixed blade broadheads kind of flying in around 280, 285. So yeah, knocking this down 5 pounds in draw weight or moving over to comfort mode will probably achieve that without any problem whatsoever. The bow is fast. It's way faster than I was expecting in the draw cycle video. I'm always thrilled and over the moon when a brand gets that close to the IBO numbers, and so I'm very happy Bowtech did that. I can't wait to see what the other manufacturers do. I've got some other bows coming in with some lofty claims We'll see if they can get as close as this one. Archery Talk, I think that's all I've got for now. Thank you so much for watching. Please do like, share, and subscribe. It helps the channel an awful lot, and we'll see you soon.